The notification came at exactly 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night when Maya Rodriguez was studying for her psychology final in her dorm room. Her phone buzzed against the wooden desk, and she picked it up absently, expecting another group chat message about someone's coffee order. Instead, she saw her own face staring back at her from Instagram, but it wasn't a photo she had posted, or even one she remembered taking. The image showed her at last weekend's party at the Delta House, laughing with her head thrown back, holding a red cup in one hand. Nothing particularly scandalous except for the caption underneath, written by her boyfriend of 2 years, Jake Morrison. The words made her stomach drop, like she'd swallowed ice water. When she says she's studying, but you know she's out here, living her best life. Can't trust these girls, man, they all the same. Maya's hands started shaking as she scrolled through the comments, already numbering in the hundreds. People she'd known since freshman year were laughing at her, calling her a liar, a cheat, a typical fake girlfriend. Her own friends were tagged in the post, their names highlighted in blue like accusations. She clicked on Jake's profile and saw he'd posted 3 more photos throughout the evening, each one painting her as some kind of party animal who'd been lying to him about her whereabouts. The truth was so simple, it felt stupid. She had been studying that night, she'd been in the library until almost midnight working on her research paper. The photos Jake posted were from the previous weekend, a party they'd attended together where he'd taken those pictures himself. He'd cropped himself out of every single shot and changed the metadata to make it look like they were taken that very evening. Maya felt like the floor was tilting beneath her feet. She tried calling him, but it went straight to voicemail. Then she tried texting, but the messages showed as delivered, but not read. Her roommate Priya came in from the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, and immediately knew something was wrong. "What happened? Your face is completely white," Priya said, dropping down onto Maya's bed. Maya just handed her the phone and watched as Priya's expression shifted from confusion to fury in about 15 seconds. "This is absolute bullshit," Priya said, her voice getting louder with each word. "Everyone knows you were in the library, I saw you there, I brought you coffee at like 10 p.m. Maya nodded but couldn't find words because her brain was too busy trying to understand why. Why would Jake do this? Why would he deliberately humiliate her in front of everyone they knew? Why would he lie so publicly, so cruelly? Her phone kept buzzing with notifications. Screenshots of Jake's posts were being shared across multiple platforms now. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, even Facebook, where her mom's friends could see them. Someone had started a thread on the university's anonymous confession page, dissecting their entire relationship. People were taking sides, arguing in the comments, creating polls about who was the real villain in this situation. Maya felt paralyzed, sitting at her desk, staring at her psychology textbook, like it held answers to questions she didn't know how to ask. Part of her wanted to post her own response, to show the original photos with timestamps, to prove Jake was lying. Part of her wanted to delete every social media account and disappear. Part of her wanted to march over to his apartment and demand an explanation face to face where he couldn't hide behind a screen. Priya was already typing furiously on her own phone, pulling up evidence. "Look, I have the receipt from the coffee shop, timestamped at 10:03 p.m. And here's a selfie I took in the library, you're literally visible in the background." We can destroy his whole narrative. In like 5 minutes, Maya, just say the word. But Maya couldn't say anything because her throat felt like it was closing up and her eyes were burning, and she was trying very hard not to cry. The next morning, Maya woke up to 847 new notifications. She'd barely slept maybe 2 hours total, her mind racing through scenarios and possibilities. She grabbed her phone from the nightstand and saw that Jake's original post now had over 5,000 likes, and the comments had grown to nearly 2,000. People were arguing, debating, sharing their own stories of being betrayed by partners who seemed trustworthy. What made it worse was that some people were defending her. Maya's lab partner from chemistry had posted screenshots proving Maya was in the library. Her academic advisor had even commented that Maya had sent her an email at 11:23 p.m. that night about an assignment. But the defenders seemed to only fuel more engagement, more arguments, more visibility. The story was spreading beyond their campus, now being picked up by those social media drama accounts that summarized relationship conflicts for entertainment. Maya dragged herself out of bed and looked at herself in the mirror above her dresser. Her eyes were puffy and red, her hair was a mess, and she looked exactly like someone who'd been up all night crying over a betrayal. She thought about Jake, about their 2 years together, about all the moments that had seemed real. Their first date at the downtown coffee shop, where he'd nervously spilled his latte. The road trip they took last summer, singing badly to pop songs. The night he told her he loved her in the parking lot after seeing a terrible horror movie. Had any of it been real, or had she just been blind to red flags she should have seen coming? She thought about the times he'd accused her of flirting when she was just being friendly. The way he'd check her phone sometimes, under the guise of looking at a meme. The subtle comments about her clothes or her friends, or the time she spent away from him. Maybe this wasn't random, maybe this was the culmination of something she'd been too trusting to recognize. Priya knocked on the bathroom door, breaking her spiral. I made coffee, and I ordered bagels. Come eat something, and then we'll figure out what you want to do. Maya opened the door and followed her roommate to their small kitchenette, where 2 cups of coffee sat steaming next to a paper bag from the campus deli. She sat down mechanically and took a sip, feeling the hot liquid burn slightly on its way down. So I've been thinking, Priya said, spreading cream cheese on a cinnamon raisin bagel, and you basically have 2 options here. Option 1, you fight back. We gather all the evidence we have, all the timestamps and receipts and proof, and we post a response that completely exposes him for the liar he is. We make it so clear, so undeniable, that everyone will see he manipulated those photos and lied for attention or revenge or whatever sick reason he had. Maya nibbled at her own bagel, not really tasting it. And option 2, she asked quietly. Priya set down her knife and looked at Maya seriously. Option 2, you walk away. You delete the apps, or just ignore it completely. You don't engage, you don't respond, you just let it fade away, naturally. Eventually, something else will become the drama of the week, and people will move on, and you won't have given him the satisfaction of knowing he got to you. Both options felt impossible in different ways. Fighting back meant engaging with the situation, meant making herself even more visible, even more vulnerable to judgment and commentary. Walking away meant letting Jake's lies stand unchallenged, meant letting people believe whatever they wanted about her character. Maya felt trapped between 2 equally terrifying choices. What would you do, Maya? Asked, looking up at Priya. Her roommate sighed and took a long sip of coffee before answering. Honestly, I'd burn his whole world down. I'd expose every lie, every manipulation, everything. But that's me, and I'm petty, and I have anger issues my therapist is helping me work through. You're not me, Maya. You're kinder than I am, more measured, more thoughtful. So you need to decide what you can live with, not what I would do. Maya appreciated that more than she could say. She finished her bagel in silence, thinking through both scenarios, playing them out in her mind like the split-screen story she'd seen in that one movie. What would happen if she fought back versus what would happen if she walked away? Both paths stretched out before her, diverging sharply into different futures. In one timeline, Maya fights back. She spends Wednesday morning gathering every piece of evidence she can find. Screenshots of text messages where Jake knew exactly where she was that night. The library checkout log showing she'd borrowed 2 books at 8:45 p.m. Priya's coffee shop receipt. The email to her advisor. Security camera footage requests from the library that she submits formally through the university portal. She organizes everything methodically into a folder on her laptop, labeling and time-stamping each piece. By Wednesday afternoon, she has enough evidence to write a detailed response post. She opens Instagram and starts typing her rebuttal. She keeps her tone calm and factual, not angry or defensive, just presenting the truth in clear, simple terms. I want to address the posts made about me last night. The photos shown were taken the previous weekend at a party Jake and I attended together. Here is proof that I was actually in the university library, studying on the night in question. She attaches all her evidence, photos, receipts, everything. She hovers over the post button for almost 10 minutes, her thumb shaking slightly. This is the moment of no return, the moment she chooses to engage, to fight, to defend herself publicly. She thinks about her parents, who will definitely hear about this now. She thinks about her younger sister, who looks up to her. She thinks about future employers who might Google her name and find this drama. But she also thinks about the truth, and how maybe truth matters enough to fight for. Maya presses post. Within seconds, the comments start rolling in. Some people apologize immediately, saying they should have known better than to believe Jake without hearing her side. Others double down, arguing that her evidence could be faked, to that they don't know who to believe. The drama accounts that had shared Jake's original posts now share her response, adding fuel to a fire that's rapidly spreading beyond campus. Boundaries. Jake responds within an hour with his own post claiming Maya is lying, that she's manipulating evidence, that she's trying to make him look bad because she's actually the one who cheated. He posts screenshots of text conversations between them, but they're clearly edited poorly at that, with mismatched fonts and suspicious time gaps. Anyone looking closely can see the manipulation, but not everyone looks closely. Some people just want to believe in drama, in conflict, in taking sides. The situation escalates. Friends are forced to choose sides publicly. Mutual acquaintances start posting their own statements about who they believe and why. The psychology department, where Maya is majoring, becomes aware of the situation. Her advisor calls her in for a meeting on Thursday morning to discuss whether this is affecting her ability to complete her coursework. Maya assures her she's fine while actively falling apart inside. Meanwhile, Jake's post gets picked up by a larger drama account with over 2 million followers. Suddenly, people who have never met Maya or Jake are weighing in with opinions. Think pieces start appearing on Twitter about public relationships and social media accountability. A TikTok user makes a video analyzing all the evidence, and it gets 800,000 views in 24 hours. Maya becomes a character in a story she never wanted to be part of. But something else happens too. Messages start coming in from other people, mostly women, sharing their own stories of being publicly humiliated by partners. They tell Maya she's brave, for speaking up, for defending herself, for not backing down. A girl from Maya's English class messages her, saying she went through something similar last year and Maya's courage inspired her to finally block her toxic ex. These messages feel like small lights in a very dark tunnel. By Friday, the situation has reached peak chaos. Jake's friends have started their own campaign, posting about what a great guy he is, how Maya was always jealous and controlling, how this is all her fault. Maya's friends counter with their own posts about Jake's possessive behavior, his tendency to gaslight, his pattern of manipulation. The whole thing has devolved into a full-scale social media war, with casualties on both sides. Maya sits in her dorm room on Friday night scrolling through everything, feeling numb. She's supposed to be at her psychology final review session, but she can't bring herself to go anywhere public. People stare, now point whisper. She's become that girl, the one everyone knows about, the main character in a drama no one will forget. Her phone buzzes constantly, with messages, some supportive, some cruel, some just curious about details. Priya comes in with takeout Chinese food and physically removes the phone from Maya's hands. Enough, you're not looking at any of that tonight. We're watching stupid movies and eating noodles and pretending the internet doesn't exist. Maya wants to protest, wants to keep monitoring the situation, wants to control the narrative, but she's too exhausted. She lets Priya cue up a comedy and tries to focus on anything other than the dumpster fire her life has become. Over the weekend, things start to shift. More and more people come forward with stories about Jake, with evidence of his manipulative behavior in past relationships. A girl he dated sophomore year posts screenshots showing he did something similar to her, accusing her publicly of cheating when she tried to break up with him. Another ex posts about how he isolated her from her friends, made her feel crazy for questioning his behavior. A pattern emerges that's impossible to ignore. By Monday morning, the narrative has completely flipped. Jake is now being called out as the villain, the manipulator, the abuser. His post has been reported so many times, Instagram takes it down for harassment. His friend group starts distancing themselves, posting vague statements about not knowing the full story. The drama accounts issue corrections, saying they should have verified information before amplifying it. Maya should feel vindicated, but mostly she just feels tired. The university's Title IX office reaches out to her on Tuesday. Multiple students have filed complaints about Jake creating a hostile environment through his social media posts. They want to know if Maya wants to file a formal complaint as well. She sits in the coordinator's office, a woman named Dr. Stevens, with kind eyes and a gentle voice, and tries to decide if she wants to keep fighting or if she's already fought enough. What happens if I file a complaint? Maya asks. Dr. Stevens explains the process: investigation meetings, potential disciplinary action against Jake. It could take weeks or months. It would mean reliving everything again and again in official statements and hearings. It would mean making this even more official, even more permanent. Maya thinks about her psychology final, about graduation, about moving forward. And she's not sure she has the energy for more battles. But then Dr. Stevens shows her the other complaints. 6 other women have come forward with similar stories about Jake. 6 women who felt empowered to speak up because Maya fought back, because Maya didn't stay silent. Sometimes, Dr. Stevens says, standing up isn't just about you. It's about everyone who comes after. Maya feels the weight of that responsibility and decides she can carry it a little longer. She files the complaint. The investigation takes 3 weeks. During that time, Maya tries to reclaim some normalcy. She studies for finals, completes her research paper, goes to her part-time job at the campus bookstore. People still stare, sometimes still whisper, but it's different now. She's not the girl who got exposed, she's the girl who fought back, who told the truth, who helped others find their voice. It's still uncomfortable, but it's bearable. Jake tries to contact her multiple times. Messages from new accounts, emails, voicemails left on her phone. He alternates between apologizing and blaming, between begging for forgiveness and accusing her of ruining his life. Maya blocks everything, doesn't engage, doesn't respond. Her therapist, the one she started seeing after all this happened, tells her that's the healthiest choice. Some people don't deserve your energy, some battles are won by walking away. Even after you've fought. The Title IX investigation concludes that Jake violated the university's harassment policy. He's suspended for the remainder of the semester, required to complete counseling before returning, and prohibited from any contact with Maya or the other complainants. It's not perfect justice, but it's something. Maya learns that Jake's parents hired a lawyer to appeal the decision, but she tries not to think about that part. She did what she could, and now she needs to focus on healing. Finals week arrives, and Maya somehow manages to take all her exams. She doesn't get the grades she was hoping for, her GPA takes a hit from the weeks of chaos and stress. But she passes everything, and that feels like victory enough. On the last day of semester, Priya helps her pack up their dorm room, and they drive home for winter break. Maya watches the campus disappear in the rearview mirror and feels simultaneously relieved and traumatized. At home, Maya's parents are supportive but worried. Her mom keeps making her favorite foods and asking if she wants to talk. Her dad keeps offering to call lawyers or the university president or anyone who might help. Her little sister Sophia, who's 15, looks at Maya like she's some kind of warrior, which feels both flattering and heavy. Maya tries to settle into the routine of being home, but everything feels different now. The story continues to have a life of its own online. Maya's Instagram post gets shared by larger accounts that focus on relationship abuse and gaslighting. She gains thousands of followers she never wanted. People tag her in posts about toxic relationships, about standing up for yourself, about believing women. She becomes an accidental spokesperson for something she never wanted to represent. Sometimes she thinks about deleting everything but the messages from survivors who say she helped them keep her from pulling that trigger. In January, a local news station reaches out, wanting to do a story about social media harassment and dating violence on college campuses. They want to interview Maya, make her the centerpiece of a larger investigation. Maya sits with the request for days, trying to decide if she wants to be that visible, if she wants to own this narrative completely, or if she wants to finally let it fade. She talks to her therapist, talks to her family, talks to Priya, who's always honest even when it's hard to hear. The thing is, Priya says over FaceTime, you've already made the choice to fight. You can't unfight, you can't take back your post or the complaint or any of it. So if you're going to be part of this story anyway, maybe you should help shape it into something meaningful. But also, you don't owe anyone anything, Maya. You could say no, and that would be completely valid too. Maya decides to do the interview. She meets with the reporter, a woman named Jessica Chen, at a coffee shop near her parents' house. Jessica is professional and kind, and makes it clear, Maya can stop at any time if she's uncomfortable. They talk for 2 hours about what happened, about the impact, about what Maya learned. Maya finds herself talking about things she hasn't said out loud before, about how violated she felt, how scared about, how hard it was to choose to fight instead of hiding. The segment airs in February. Maya watches it with her family in their living room and cries through most of it. Not sad tears exactly, but release tears like something locked up inside her is finally escaping. The segment doesn't just focus on Maya, it talks to experts about the rise of digital harassment. It interviews other survivors, it provides resources for people in similar situations. Maya's story becomes part of something larger, something that might actually help people. The response is overwhelming. Maya's inbox fills with messages from people sharing their stories, thanking her for speaking up, telling her she gave them courage. Some of the messages are from people she knew in high school, people from her hometown, people she never expected to hear from. Her story resonates because it's not unique, because too many people have experienced some version of public humiliation at the hands of someone they trusted. But there's backlash too. Anonymous accounts send her hateful messages, calling her an attention seeker, a liar, someone who destroyed a man's life over nothing. She gets doxed, her phone number and address posted online, resulting in creepy calls and packages sent to her parents' house. Her mom has to file a police report. Maya realizes that fighting back comes with costs. She didn't fully anticipate that visibility means vulnerability in ways she's still learning to navigate. By March, Maya is back at school for spring semester. Jake is not, he's taking classes online as part of his suspension. The campus feels different, without him lighter in some ways, but Maya still finds herself looking over her shoulder. She switches her major from psychology to social work, deciding she wants to help people who've been through trauma like hers. Her advisor supports the change, helps her map out a new course plan that will still let her graduate on time. Maya starts volunteering at a local domestic violence shelter. She works the hotline answering calls from people in crisis, and she's surprised by how much it helps her own healing. Every person she talks down from the ledge, every resource she provides, every moment of crisis she helps someone navigate, makes her feel like maybe all the pain had a purpose. Maybe her suffering can be transformed into something that reduces someone else's suffering. She also starts a campus organization focused on digital safety and healthy relationships. It's small at first, just her and 5 other students meeting in a classroom Thursday evenings. But word spreads, and by the end of March, they have 30 members. They bring in speakers, create educational materials, organize workshops about recognizing red flags in relationships. Maya never wanted to be a leader, but she finds herself becoming one anyway. Jake tries to come back to campus in April. There's a whole hearing about it, university, administrators, and lawyers, and advocates all weighing in. Maya has to testify again, has to relive everything in front of a panel of strangers. Jake's lawyer tries to paint him as the real victim, as someone who made one mistake and is being punished too harshly. Maya holds her ground, presents her truth, trusts. The evidence speaks for itself. The panel decides Jake can return, but with restrictions. He has to stay away from Maya and the other complainants. He has to continue counseling. He's on academic probation. It's not the outcome Maya hoped for. She kind of wanted him gone permanently, but she understands the university's position about second chances and rehabilitation. She'll just have to be more careful now, more aware, more vigilant. The first time Maya sees Jake back on campus, it's across the quad near the library. Her stomach drops and her hands start shaking, and she has to sit down on a bench until the panic attack passes. Priya is with her and talks her through it, reminding her to breathe, reminding her she's safe, reminding her she survived and she keeps surviving. That becomes Maya's mantra when things get hard. I survived, and I'll keep surviving. Graduation approaches, and Maya feels the weight of everything this year has been. She's not the same person she was when she walked into that dorm room in September, that innocent version of her, who believed the best in people, who thought love meant trust without question. She's harder now, but also stronger. She knows things about herself she didn't know before, including the fact that she can face terrible things and not break completely. At graduation, Maya walks across the stage to receive her diploma, and the cheers from the audience seem louder than for other students. Her story has made her recognizable on campus, a symbol of something: resilience, maybe, or courage, or just survival. She catches Priya's eye in the crowd, and they both grin because they made it through hell, and they're still standing. Maya's parents cry with pride and relief, and her sister, Sophia, looks at her like she's a superhero. After graduation, Maya gets a job at a nonprofit focused on preventing teen dating violence. She travels to high schools giving talks about healthy relationships, about warning signs, about what to do if you find yourself in a dangerous situation. It's hard work, emotionally exhausting, but also fulfilling. She carries her story with her, uses it as a tool to connect with young people who need to hear that they're not alone, that they're not crazy, that they deserve better. Years pass. Maya moves to a different city, starts grad school for her MSW, builds a life that looks nothing like the one she imagined when she was 20. She dates occasionally, but cautiously, always watching for red flags, always protecting herself in ways she didn't know she needed to before. She makes new friends, people who know her story, but who also know her as more than her worst moment. She heals, slowly, imperfectly, but steadily. Sometimes, Maya looks back at that night in November, when the notification came, and wonders what would have happened if she'd chosen differently. If she'd stayed silent, if she'd walked away, if she'd let Jake's lies stand unchallenged. She thinks maybe that version of her would have healed faster, would have had less trauma from the public nature of everything. But she also thinks that version wouldn't have helped the 6 women who came forward, or the hundreds who've messaged her, or the thousands who've heard her speak. Fighting back cost Maya a lot: her peace, her privacy, her GPA, a certain innocence about how cruel people can be. But it also gave her things: a voice, a purpose, a community of survivors who lift each other up. She wouldn't say she's grateful for what Jake did, that would be insane. But she's grateful for who she became in the aftermath. She's grateful she chose to fight even when fighting seemed impossible. In another timeline, Maya walks away. The notification comes on Tuesday night, and Maya sees the posts, and her stomach drops, just like before. She calls Jake, and texts him, and gets no response, just like before. She shows Priya, who immediately wants to fight, wants to gather evidence, wants to burn Jake's world down. But in this timeline, Maya makes a different choice. I can't, Maya tells Priya Wednesday morning, over coffee. I can't engage with this, I can't make it bigger, I can't feed into it. That's what he wants, right? Attention drama, to pull me into a fight. If I respond, I'm giving him exactly what he wants. Priya argues that staying silent means letting people believe his lies, but Maya has already decided. She's going to take the high road, even though it feels more like taking no road at all. Maya deletes Instagram from her phone. Then she deletes Twitter, and TikTok, and Facebook, everything except the messaging apps. She needs to communicate with actual friends and family. She tells Priya, and her other close friends, what actually happened that night, shows them her evidence privately, but doesn't post anything publicly. She asks them not to engage with Jake's posts, not to defend her, not to comment at all. Starve it of oxygen, she says, and maybe it'll die. Wednesday passes, and Maya focuses on studying for her psychology final. It's hard, because her phone still buzzes with texts from people. Asking if she's okay, asking if Jake's posts are true, asking what's going on. She responds to close friends with brief explanations, and ignores everyone else. She goes to class, goes to the library, goes about her routine, as if nothing has changed, even though everything has, by Thursday. Jake's posts are still circulating, but Maya notices something. Without her engaging, without a fight to watch, people are starting to lose interest. The comments on his posts are slowing down. The shares are tapering off. There's no part 2 to the drama, no escalation, no response from Maya to keep the story alive. Some people are even starting to question Jake's version, asking why. Maya isn't defending herself if she's really guilty. Maya's advisor pulls her aside after class on Thursday. "I saw some concerning posts about you online," Dr. Martinez says carefully. "I want you to know that I know you. We're in the library Tuesday night. I got your email. Timestamped at 11:23 p.m. If you need me to make any kind of statement, or if this affects your academic standing, please let me know. Maya, thanks." Her butt says she's handling it by not handling it. Dr. Martinez looks skeptical, but respects Maya's choice. Friday comes and Maya takes her psychology final. She does well, maybe even better than she expected, because she channeled all her anxious energy into studying, into focusing, into proving to herself that Jake can't derail her life. After the exam, she meets Priya for lunch at their favorite sandwich place off campus. Priya updates her on the social media situation, which Maya has been successfully ignoring. "It's dying down," Priya reports. "A few people are still commenting, but most have moved on to the next drama. There's apparently some wild story about 2 freshmen who got caught sneaking into the dean's office that's taking over the group chats now." Maya feels a wave of relief so intense. She almost cries into her turkey club. Maybe walking away was the right choice after all, but the relief is complicated by other feelings. Maya knows people believed Jake's lies, even if only temporarily. She knows her reputation took a hit, even if she doesn't know the full extent of the damage. She knows there are people who will always wonder if there was truth to his accusations, who will always see her through that lens. Choosing not to fight means choosing to let those doubts exist unchallenged. The weekend passes quietly. Maya catches up on assignments, watches movies with Priya, tries to process everything that's happened. On Saturday night, Jake texts her. It's a long, rambling message that starts with an apology and ends with accusations. He says he posted those things because he thought she was cheating, because she'd been distant, because he was hurt and angry. He says it's her fault, really, for making him feel insecure. Then, he says he'll delete the posts if she takes him back. Maya stares at the message for a long time. The manipulation is so obvious, the gaslighting so textbook, it's almost laughable, except it's not funny at all. She thinks about responding, about telling him exactly what she thinks about his twisted logic, about pointing out every way he violated her trust. But that would be engaging, and she promised herself she wouldn't engage. Instead, she screenshots the message, sends it to Priya, with the caption "Evidence for the restraining order, if it comes to that," and then blocks his number. She also blocks him on every platform she hasn't deleted, on email, on Venmo, on everywhere she can think of. She goes through her photos and deletes every picture of them together, 2 years of memories erased in about 20 minutes. It feels both liberating and sad, like saying goodbye to someone she thought she knew but who maybe never really existed. Monday comes, and Maya goes to her academic advisor to discuss changing her major. She's been thinking about it all weekend, about how this experience has made her see things differently. She still loves psychology, but she wants to do something more direct, more hands-on. She wants to help people in crisis. She talks to her advisor about social work, about nonprofit management, about paths that feel more meaningful now. The next few weeks pass in a strange kind of limbo. Maya exists in her own bubble, deliberately disconnected from the online world that caused her so much pain. She studies, takes her remaining finals, completes her coursework. Sometimes people give her weird looks on campus sometimes. She overhears whispers, but she doesn't know what they're saying, and she's decided not to care. Priya remains her fierce defender, shutting down any negative talk the moment she hears it. Jake's posts eventually get taken down, not because anyone reported them, but because Instagram's algorithm flagged them after they went dormant. Without continued engagement, without a fight to fuel them, they just disappeared into the digital void. Maya never knows if Jake deleted them himself, or if they were removed automatically, and she doesn't try to find out. She's committed to moving forward, to not looking back, to building a life that doesn't include him in any capacity. By the time winter break arrives, Maya feels lighter. She didn't fight back, and the world didn't end. Jake's lies didn't destroy her, they just caused a temporary storm that passed once she stopped feeding it energy. She goes home to her family, and they know something happened. They've heard vague rumors, but Maya doesn't give them details. She just says she and Jake broke up, and it was messy, and she's handling it. Her parents trust her enough not to push. Over break, Maya reflects on her choice. She thinks about the women who might still be in relationships with Jake, who might face similar treatment, who might not know his patterns. She thinks about whether her silence enabled him to continue his behavior unchallenged. These thoughts keep her up at night. Make her question whether she took the coward's way out, whether she should have fought for the principle of it. But she also thinks about her mental health, about how she avoided the trauma of public warfare, about how she didn't become a character in an online drama. She thinks about the girls who fight back and end up doxxed, harassed, stalked. She thinks about how sometimes survival means retreat, means protecting yourself, even if it means leaving some battles unfought. Both choices carry costs, and she's learning to accept that she made the choice she needed to make for herself. Spring semester starts, and Maya is a different person. She's more guarded, more careful about who she trusts with her story, with her heart, with her vulnerability. She makes new friends, people who don't know about Jake, who just know her as Maya, the girl in their social work class who always brings good snacks to study groups. She starts volunteering at a crisis hotline, which is intense but fulfilling in ways she didn't expect. One day in February, Maya is walking across campus when she sees Jake. Her first instinct is panic. Her heart rate spikes, and she wants to run. But then she realizes he hasn't seen her, he's talking to a girl by the fountain, someone Maya doesn't recognize. They look like they're on a date, laughing, and standing close, and Maya feels a complicated mix of emotions. Relief that he's moved on. Worry for whoever this new girl is. Anger that he gets to just continue on, as if nothing happened. Maya takes a photo from a distance, not to post or share, but just to have as evidence, as a reminder. She doesn't know why she needs it, but something tells her to document this moment. Then she turns and walks in the other direction, choosing not to confront, not to engage, just to acknowledge and move on. It's a small victory, one she wouldn't have been capable of months ago. In March, Maya is approached by a girl named Sarah, who's in her introduction to social work class. Sarah asks if they can talk privately, and Maya's stomach drops, because she knows this tone, knows this energy. They go to a quiet study room, and Sarah tells her a familiar story. Her boyfriend posted things about her online, things that weren't true. She doesn't know whether to fight back or ignore it. She heard through friends that something similar happened to Maya, and she wants advice. Maya takes a deep breath and tells her story, leaving out names and specific details, but sharing the essential truth. She explains that she chose not to fight back, that she walked away and let it die down naturally. "I don't know if I made the right choice," Maya admits. "Sometimes I wonder if I should have defended myself publicly. But for me, in my situation with my mental health where I was at that moment, walking away felt like survival." Sarah listens carefully and asks thoughtful questions. She wants to know if people still believe the lies about Maya, if her reputation recovered, if she regrets her decision. Maya answers honestly, some people probably still believe it. Her reputation definitely took a hit, and she has regrets but also relief. "You have to make the choice. You can live with Maya," says, echoing Priya's words from months ago. "Not the choice other people think you should make." They talk for over an hour, and by the end, Sarah seems clearer about what she wants to do. She's going to block her ex, delete her social media for a while, focus on herself, and let the drama die without her participation. Maya gives her a hug and her phone number, and tells her to reach out anytime. As Sarah leaves, Maya realizes this is the first time she's been able to help someone with her experience, and it feels like maybe everything had a purpose after all. More people start approaching Maya over the following weeks. Somehow word spread that she's a safe person to talk to about relationship issues, about online harassment, about the complicated calculus of when to fight and when to walk away. Maya becomes an unofficial peer counselor, in addition to her regular coursework. She helps people think through their options, process their emotions, plan their exits from toxic relationships. In April, the psychology department hosts a speaker series on digital wellness and healthy relationships. Maya attends one of the sessions and finds herself wishing she could contribute to this conversation. After the talk, she approaches the professor organizing the series, Dr. Kim, and shares a very condensed version of her story. Dr. Kim is immediately interested and asks if Maya would be willing to participate in a panel discussion. Maya hesitates. This would mean going public with her experience in a way she's carefully avoided. But it would be in a controlled academic setting, not the free-for-all of social media. It would be an opportunity to help people, maybe prevent someone from going through what she went through. She tells Dr. Kim she needs to think about it, and they exchange emails. That night, Maya talks to Priya about the opportunity. "I thought you wanted to stay out of it, to let it stay in the past," Priya says. Maya nods. "I did, and I do. But maybe there's a difference between responding to Jake's drama and choosing to share my story on my own terms. Maybe I can talk about what happened without engaging with him, without making it about him." "I don't know, I'm conflicted." Priya thinks for a moment. "What would help you decide?" Maya considers the question. "I guess I need to know if I can tell this story without it consuming me again. If I can own it, instead of it owning me." Priya nods, slowly understanding exactly what Maya means. They spend the rest of the evening talking through the pros and cons, making a list like they're analyzing some academic problem. Instead of Maya's life. By the end of the night, Maya decides to do it. She emails Dr. Kim and agrees to participate in the panel. The event is scheduled for late April, and Maya has 3 weeks to prepare. She writes and rewrites what she wants to say, trying to find the balance between being honest and being protective of herself. She practices in front of Priya, who gives feedback on tone and content, helping Maya refine her message. The night of the panel, Maya is terrified. Her hands shake as she walks into the lecture hall and sees it's packed with at least 200 students. She's one of 4 panelists, including a lawyer who specializes in cyber harassment, a therapist who works with domestic violence survivors, and another student who went through something similar. Dr. Kim moderates, keeping the conversation flowing and making sure everyone feels safe. When it's Maya's turn to speak, she takes a deep breath and tells her story. She talks about the night Jake posted those lies about her. She talks about the impossible choice between fighting back and walking away. She talks about choosing to walk away and why that felt right for her, even though it meant letting some lies stand unchallenged. She's careful not to name Jake directly, just referring to him as my ex. Because this isn't about him anymore, it's about the larger issue. The audience is completely silent as Maya speaks. She can see people nodding, relating, connecting with her words. When she finishes, there's a moment of stillness before the applause starts. It's not dramatic or overwhelming, just a respectful acknowledgement of her courage in sharing. Maya feels something release in her chest, something she didn't know she was holding on to. During the Q&A session, multiple students ask Maya if she regrets not fighting back publicly. She answers honestly each time. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I wish I had defended myself more publicly, wish I had made sure everyone knew the truth. But I also know that fighting back can be re-traumatizing, that it can make things worse. I made the choice that felt right for my mental health at that moment, and I have to honor that, even when I second-guess it. One girl raises her hand and asks, "Do you think your silence enabled your ex to do this to other people?" It's the question Maya has asked herself countless times. She takes a moment before answering, "Maybe." And that's something I have to live with. But I also think we can't put the responsibility for an abuser's actions on their victims. I did what I needed to do to survive and heal. If he hurt other people after me, that's on him, not on me for not fighting harder. The panel ends and dozens of students come up to talk to Maya. They share their stories, ask for advice, thank her for speaking up. Maya exchanges phone numbers with at least 15 people, creating an impromptu support network. She realizes that, by choosing to share her story in this controlled, intentional way, she's found a middle path between fighting back and walking away. She's taking ownership of her narrative without letting it destroy her. In Maya's finals approach, Maya reflects on how far she's come since November. She didn't fight back in the way everyone expected, but she also didn't completely disappear. She found her own way through a path that honored both her need for self-protection and her desire to help others. Her relationship with Jake is completely over. She hasn't heard from him in months, and she's okay with that. Sarah, the girl from her social work class, texts Maya to say she got through her situation too. She blocked her ex, focused on herself, and eventually, the online drama faded. "Thank you for showing me that was an option," Sarah writes. "I thought I had to fight, or I'd look weak, but you taught me that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away." Maya saves that message, reads it whenever she doubts her choices. Graduation approaches, and Maya feels ready for it in a way she wasn't sure she would be. She's finishing her degree with decent grades, not perfect, because this year took a toll, but good enough. She's been accepted to a graduate program for social work starting in the fall. She has a clearer sense of who she is and what she wants to do with her life. Jake tried to break her, but instead, he just revealed how strong she actually was. At graduation, Maya walks across the stage and accepts her diploma. Her family cheers loudly, and Priya whistles so loud it echoes through the auditorium. Maya catches sight of Jake across the venue in a different section of graduates and feels nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction, just neutral indifference. He's a chapter that's closed, a lesson. She learned a part of her story, but not the whole story. After the ceremony, Maya's family takes her out to dinner at her favorite Italian restaurant. Her little sister Sophia corners her in the bathroom and says, "I heard some stuff happened with your ex this year. I just want you to know I think you're really brave." Maya hugs her sister tight, grateful for this uncomplicated support. She doesn't tell Sophia all the details, just says, "Sometimes being brave means knowing when not to fight." Summer comes, and Maya moves back home for a few months before grad school starts. She gets a job at the local community center teaching art classes to kids. It's completely different from her academic work, but it's healing in unexpected ways. She spends her days covered in paint and glitter, helping children express themselves creatively. She dates a little, nothing serious, just coffee dates and movies, relearning how to trust slowly, carefully. In July, Maya gets a message from an unknown number. Her first instinct is to delete it without reading, but something makes her look. It's from one of the girls who came forward with her own story about Jake back in the spring. "I wanted you to know that Jake got expelled," the message says. "After everything came out, the university did a full investigation, and they found enough evidence to permanently remove him. I thought you'd want to know." Maya sits with this information for a long time. Part of her feels vindicated, relieved that he faced real consequences. Part of her feels sad for the person she thought he was, the person who maybe never existed. Part of her feels guilty that she didn't contribute to that investigation, that her choice to walk away meant her evidence wasn't part of the case against him. But mostly she feels grateful that it's over, that other women won't be hurt by him, at least not on that campus. She doesn't respond to the message, just sends a heart emoji acknowledgement. She doesn't need to rehash everything, doesn't need to dive back into that world. She made her choice months ago, and she's still at peace with it. The fact that justice happened without her direct involvement somehow validates her decision, shows that fighting back isn't the only path to accountability. As summer ends, Maya prepares for grad school. She packs up her childhood bedroom, putting away remnants of who she used to be. She finds a photo album from her first year of college and flips through it, seeing pictures of herself with Jake, back when everything seemed perfect. She considers throwing the album away, but decides to keep it instead. Not because she wants to remember him, but because she wants to remember that version of herself. Naive maybe, but also hopeful and open. The first day of grad school, Maya introduces herself to her cohort of 20 students. When they go around sharing why they chose social work, Maya says, "I want to help people navigate crisis and trauma. I want to be someone who shows people they have options even when they feel trapped." She doesn't share the full story, but a few people seem to understand anyway, seem to recognize the voice of someone who's been through something. Maya throws herself into her studies, learning about trauma, informed care, about power dynamics in relationships, about the ways systems fail vulnerable people. Every class feels personally relevant, like she's studying her own experience from an academic distance. Her professors notice her passion, her insight, her ability to connect theory to real-world situations. She thrives in ways she didn't as an undergrad, more focused, more purposeful. In October, almost a year after Jake's posts, Maya is working on a research project about digital harassment among college students. She's interviewing survivors, collecting data, analyzing patterns. One of her interview subjects tells a story that's eerily similar to Maya's, and when Maya asks how she responded, the girl says, "I fought back. I gathered all my evidence, and I posted a detailed rebuttal, and I made sure everyone knew he was lying." Maya asks how that worked out for her. The girl's expression darkens. "It destroyed me, honestly. Fighting back meant living through it, over and over. Every comment, every share, every piece of engagement was like reopening the wound. I won in the end. People believed me, and he faced consequences, but it cost me my mental health, my grades, my sense of safety. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it." This conversation stays with Maya for days. She thinks about the alternate version of herself, the one who chose to fight back publicly. Would that Maya have ended up like this girl, traumatized by her own defense, broken by the process of proving her innocence? Maya feels grateful again for her choice, while also recognizing that both paths lead to pain. Just different kinds of pain. She continues her research and starts seeing patterns. Survivors who fight back often get vindication, but at a high personal cost. Survivors who walk away often heal faster, but carry guilt and wonder what if. There's no perfect choice, no right answer, just different trade-offs. Maya includes this in her research paper, noting that society pressures victims to fight back, to speak up, to be brave, but rarely acknowledges the toll that bravery takes. Her professor, Dr. Williams, reads her paper and asks to meet with her. "This is excellent work, Maya. Have you considered publishing it?" Maya is surprised. She saw this as a class assignment, not something with broader implications. Dr. Williams encourages her to submit it to a journal focused on interpersonal violence and digital culture. Maya agrees hesitantly, not sure if she's ready for that level of exposure. Over winter break, Maya revises her paper for publication. She includes more of her own story, but keeps it anonymous, referring to herself as participant. She adds nuance about class and race and access to resources, acknowledging that her ability to walk away was partially privileged. Some survivors can't walk away because they share children or housing or financial ties with their abusers. Maya wants her work to be comprehensive, not just about her specific situation. The paper gets accepted for publication in March. Maya is thrilled and terrified in equal measure. This means her research, her insights, her story will be out in the world for academic audiences to read and critique. Dr. Williams assures her it's all anonymous, that no one will know. Participant A is Maya, unless she chooses to tell them. But Maya knows. She always knows that somewhere in this published paper is her heart, her experience, her truth. Spring brings new opportunities. Maya is offered a graduate assistantship, working with Dr. Williams on a larger research project about relationship violence on college campuses. She accepts immediately, knowing this is exactly the kind of work she wants to be doing. She conducts interviews, facilitates focus groups, analyzes data. She talks to hundreds of survivors and hears hundreds of stories, each one unique, but also hauntingly familiar. One day, Maya interviews a girl who says, "My ex posted lies about me, and I wanted to fight back so badly. But a friend told me about this girl who walked away instead, who chose not to engage, and it gave me permission to do the same." I don't know who that girl was, but she kind of saved me. Maya's throat tightens. Because she knows she's that girl, she's the story that got passed around, the example that gave someone else options. In May, Maya attends a conference on digital safety and healthy relationships. She's presenting a poster about her research, and she's nervous about the professional scrutiny. But the response is overwhelmingly positive. People stop to read her poster, ask thoughtful questions, exchange business cards. One woman who runs a nonprofit focused on teen dating violence asks if Maya would be interested in doing consulting work with them. Maya says yes without hesitation. As her first year of grad school ends, Maya looks back at the journey. A year and a half ago, Jake posted those lies, and Maya made a choice that felt impossible at the time. She chose not to fight publicly, chose to protect her peace over proving her innocence. That choice led her here, to this work, to this purpose, to this version of herself that's both scarred and stronger. Summer comes, and Maya starts her consulting work with the nonprofit. She helps develop curriculum about digital harassment for high school students. She facilitates training sessions for youth advocates. She shares her story, not all of it, but enough when it feels relevant and helpful. She's learned how to use her experience as a tool, without letting it define her entirely. In August, Maya moves into a new apartment for her second year of grad school. It's small, but it's hers, completely hers, in a way nothing has been since that November night changed everything. She decorates it carefully, choosing colors and furniture that make her feel safe and grounded. She hangs art that inspires her, puts plants in every window, builds a space that reflects who she's becoming. One evening, Maya is scrolling through LinkedIn when she sees Jake's profile. He's transferred to a different university, apparently rebuilding his life after the expulsion. His profile is full of professional photos and carefully worded descriptions of his accomplishments. There's no mention of what happened, no acknowledgement of the harm he caused. Maya feels a flash of anger that he gets to just move on to reinvent himself without consequences. But then she realizes he did face consequences. He got expelled, lost friends, lost his reputation at his original school. The fact that he's trying to rebuild doesn't erase that. And more importantly, Maya has moved on to. She's built a life and career around helping others, around transforming her pain into purpose. She's not defined by what Jake did to her anymore. She's defined by what she did after, by the choices she made in the aftermath. Maya closes LinkedIn and opens her journal instead. She writes about seeing Jake's profile, about the anger and the relief and the indifference all mixed together. She writes about how far she's come, about the person she used to be and the person she is now. She writes about gratitude, not for what happened, but for what she did with what happened. She writes until her hand cramps, and then she closes the journal and makes herself tea and watches a silly comedy show and just exists in her own life. Her second year of grad school brings new challenges. Maya takes advanced classes on trauma therapy, on crisis intervention, on systemic advocacy. She continues her research work, expanding her project to include more diverse populations. She presents at another conference, this time giving an oral presentation, not just a poster. She's finding her voice as a scholar, as an advocate, as someone who knows things worth sharing. In November, 2 years after the initial incident, Maya wakes up to an anniversary she didn't want to mark. 2 years since Jake posted those lies, since her life imploded and rebuilt itself into something different. She lies in bed for a while, feeling the weight of time, of change, of everything that's happened. Then she gets up, makes coffee, and goes about her day, because that's what healing looks like sometimes. Just continuing to live. That afternoon, Maya gets an email from a literary agent. Somehow, this agent came across Maya's published research paper and wants to know if Maya has ever considered writing a book about her experience and her research. The agent thinks there's a market for a book that combines personal narrative with academic insights about digital harassment and relationship violence. Maya reads the email 3 times, not sure if it's real, not sure if she wants it to be real. She talks to Priya, who's now living across the country, working in tech but still Maya's closest friend. "Do you want to write a book about this?" Priya asks directly. Maya doesn't know. On one hand, it could help so many people could reach audiences her academic work never will. On the other hand, it means going even more public with her story means reliving everything in detail, means potentially exposing herself to criticism and judgment all over again. "What if I write it, but keep it anonymous?" Maya suggests. Priya considers this. Then it loses some of its power. "The reason your story resonates is because you're a real person who made a real choice and survived. Anonymous stories are important, but they don't have the same impact." Maya knows Priya is right, but she's also scared, more scared than she expected to be. She sits with the decision for weeks. She talks to her therapist about it in detail, exploring her fears and her motivations. She talks to Dr. Williams, who encourages her to consider it seriously. She talks to her parents, who worry about her being more exposed, but ultimately support whatever she decides. She even talks to Sophia, who's now 17, and says, "If your story can help someone like me avoid what you went through, then you should tell it." In December, Maya emails the agent back and says she's interested, but she needs time. She's not ready to start writing immediately, but maybe after she finishes grad school, maybe when she has more distance from everything. The agent is understanding and encouraging. They exchange a few more emails discussing what the book might look like, and Maya starts to feel excited about the possibility, despite her fears. As the year ends, Maya reflects on where she is. She made a choice 2 years ago to walk away, to not fight publicly, to protect herself first. That choice led her here, to grad school, to research, to advocacy work, to the possibility of a book. She didn't get perfect justice, didn't get to publicly destroy Jake's credibility, didn't get the satisfaction of winning a visible battle. But she got something else: peace, purpose, a path forward. The parallel timelines diverge here. In one timeline, Maya fought back and became a public figure, a symbol of resistance, someone who refused to be silenced. In that timeline, she faced more trauma, endured more harassment, but also helped more people more quickly. She became known for her courage, for her refusal to back down. In the other timeline, this timeline, Maya walked away and found a quieter path. She healed in private, built her life slowly, helped people through her work, rather than through her public example. Both timelines have their costs and their gifts. Both Mayas survive, both Mayas heal. Both Mayas find ways to transform their pain into something meaningful. The difference is in the method, in the visibility, in the price they paid for their choices. Neither timeline is objectively better or worse, they're just different paths through the same forest of trauma and recovery. Maya will never know what would have happened if she'd chosen differently. She'll never meet the version of herself who fought back publicly, who became a viral story, who lived through that particular kind of hell. But she knows herself, she knows what she could handle and what she couldn't. She trusts that she made the best choice she could with the information and resources she had at the time. In January of her final semester, Maya starts outlining what her book might look like. She writes character sketches of herself and Jake, though she changed his name. She writes about the night everything happened, about the impossible choice, about the aftermath. She writes about the research she's done, about the survivors she's interviewed, about the patterns she's seen. She writes about both timelines, the one she lived and the one she imagined, exploring what each path teaches about survival and healing and justice. The outline grows into sample chapters, and Maya sends them to the agent. The response is enthusiastic. The agent thinks Maya has something special here. They start discussing publishing houses, advance payments, timelines for submission. Maya feels overwhelmed by all of it, but also excited. This book could be her way of reaching people who are facing that same impossible choice, of showing them that there isn't one right answer. Spring brings job interviews. Maya applies for positions at nonprofits, at universities, at organizations focused on violence prevention. She interviews well, her research and practical experience making her a strong candidate. She gets offers from 3 different organizations and has to make another difficult choice. Eventually, she accepts a position at a nonprofit focused on supporting survivors of intimate partner violence. She'll start after graduation, doing direct service work while continuing her research on the side. At graduation, Maya walks across the stage for her master's degree. Her parents and Sophia are there, and so is Priya, who flew in for the occasion. They take photos and go to dinner and celebrate this milestone that feels extra meaningful given everything Maya went through to get here. That night in her apartment, Maya looks at herself in the mirror and sees someone she's proud of, someone who survived and thrived and chose healing over revenge. The book deal comes through in June. Maya signs the contract, agrees to deliver a full manuscript within a year. She's nervous about the deadline, about the vulnerability of sharing her full story, but she's also committed. She spends the summer writing, sometimes in coffee shops, sometimes at the library, sometimes in her apartment at 3 a.m. when the words won't wait. She pours everything onto the page, her fears, her doubts, her choices, her healing. In her book, Maya includes both timelines. She writes about the version of herself who fought back based on the survivors she's interviewed who chose that path. She writes about her own timeline, the one where she walked away. She doesn't say which choice is better, because there isn't a better. She just presents both paths honestly, showing the costs and benefits of each, hoping readers will find themselves in one or both stories. By fall, Maya has a complete first draft. It's messy and raw and needs serious revision, but it exists. She sends it to her agent, who sends it to her editor, who has thoughtful feedback. Maya spends months revising, cutting, adding, clarifying. She includes her research findings, but makes sure the book stays accessible, stays human, stays true to the lived experience of survivors who face impossible choices. The book is scheduled to publish the following spring, 3 years after that November night when everything changed. Maya does advance interviews with journalists and podcasters. Always nervous about being so public, but also feeling ready in a way she wasn't before. She's had time to heal, time to build a life separate from this trauma. She can tell her story now without it completely consuming her. When the book releases, Maya holds the physical copy in her hands and cries. Her name is on the cover, her story is inside, and it's real and permanent and out in the world. The reviews are mostly positive, though some critics think she's too soft on herself, or too hard on Jake, or too academic, or not academic enough. Maya reads them all, and then decides to stop reading them because she can't control how people receive her story. She can only control the telling of it. The book sells steadily, nothing like a bestseller, but respectable for a debut memoir from an unknown author. Maya does readings at bookstores and universities, talking about her experience answering questions from audiences who connect with different parts of her story. Many people ask which timeline was hers, and she always answers honestly. I walked away, and I don't regret it, but I also don't judge people who fight back. We all survive in the ways we can. One evening after a reading, a young woman approaches Maya. She's crying, and she says, "I'm going through something similar right now. My ex posted things about me, and I don't know what to do. I've been agonizing over whether to fight back or walk away, and your book helped me see that both choices are valid. Thank you for showing me that." Maya hugs this stranger and gives her a card for a local support center and tells her, "Whatever you choose, choose yourself first." These moments make everything worth it. The vulnerability, the exposure, the fear, all of it becomes worthwhile when Maya realizes her story is helping people navigate their own impossible choices. She's not a hero or a victim or a cautionary tale, she's just someone who survived and chose to share how. That sharing creates ripples, helps people feel less alone, gives them language for experiences they thought were unspeakable. Years pass. Maya continues her work at the nonprofit, moving up to program director, then eventually executive director. She continues writing, publishing articles, giving talks, becoming a recognized voice in the field of relationship violence prevention. She dates and eventually enters into a healthy relationship with someone who respects her boundaries and her history. She introduces Sophia to this partner, and her sister approves, which matters more than Maya expected. She occasionally thinks about Jake, wonders what happened to him, wonders if he ever understood the harm he caused. She heard through mutual connections that he married someone else, that he's working in finance, that he seems to have moved on completely. Part of her wants to believe he changed, that he learned something, that he's not hurting anyone else. Part of her knows that's probably wishful thinking. Mostly, she tries not to think about him at all. 5 years after the book's publication, Maya is invited to speak at a major conference on digital safety. She's on a panel with other authors and advocates and activists, people who've done incredible work in this field. During the Q&A, someone asks the panel, "What advice would you give to someone facing a choice between confronting their abuser publicly or walking away?" Maya thinks carefully before answering. "I think the most important thing is to remember that you have a choice. Not everyone will agree with your choice, and that's okay. Some people will say you should fight, some will say you should walk away. But only you know what you can handle, what your mental health can sustain, what feels right for you. And whatever you choose, know that you're not weak or cowardly or complicit. You're a survivor, making the best choice you can with the resources you have." The applause that follows feels like validation, not just of her words, but of her journey. Maya chose a path that many people questioned, that didn't look like traditional justice or revenge. But it was her path, and it led her somewhere meaningful. She helped people, she healed, she built a life she's proud of. That's enough, that's more than enough, that's everything. As the conference ends, Maya walks through the hotel lobby and sees her reflection in a large mirror. She's 30 now, older than she was when this all started, but not old, just grown. She sees someone who survived something terrible and chose to transform it into something useful. She sees someone who made a choice that wasn't popular or dramatic but was right for her. She sees herself clearly, maybe for the first time. And she likes what she sees. The story doesn't end with perfect closure because real life never does. Jake is still out there living his life, Maya is living hers. The harm he caused doesn't disappear, but it doesn't define Maya anymore either. She carries the experience with her, but lightly now, as part of her story, not the whole story. She's a survivor, and an advocate, and a sister, and a partner, and a friend, and a writer, and all of those identities coexist. Sometimes people ask Maya if she ever regrets not fighting back more publicly. Her answer is always the same, honest. Sometimes yes. Sometimes I wish I had made sure everyone knew the truth about what he did. But more often I'm grateful I chose the path I did. Fighting back might have felt satisfying in the moment, but it also might have destroyed me in the process. I chose survival over satisfaction, and I've made my peace with that. The parallel timelines exist as thought experiments, as possibilities, as different versions of what could have been. In one timeline, Maya fights and wins publicly, but loses privately. In another timeline, she walks away and finds peace in different ways. Both timelines teach something important about justice and healing and the many paths available to survivors. Neither is wrong, neither is right, they're just different choices with different consequences. Maya's story becomes one story among many in the larger narrative of how we handle betrayal and harassment in the digital age. She's not the first person to face this choice, and she won't be the last. But by sharing her experience, by being honest about the complexity, by refusing to simplify the decision into right or wrong, she helps create space for other survivors to make their own choices without shame. And that's the real ending, not satisfying revenge, not perfect justice, not closure that erases all pain. Just the knowledge that Maya survived, that she helped others survive, that she transformed trauma into purpose, into meaning, into work that matters. She chose herself, she chose healing, and that choice rippled outward, touching lives. She'll never know about creating change, she never fully see. In the end, both timelines converge on the same truth, that survival takes many forms, that healing is not linear, that justice is complicated, that choosing yourself is never selfish. Maya learned these lessons through pain and time and hard work. And now through her story, through her research, through her advocacy, she passes those lessons on to others who are facing their own impossible choices, their own moments of deciding whether to fight or walk away. The notification came at exactly 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday night when Maya Rodriguez was studying for her psychology final. Her life split into two timelines. In that moment, two paths diverging in a dark digital forest. She walked one path and survived. She imagined another path and learned from that too. Both versions of Maya matter, both stories are true in their own way. And somewhere someone reading this will face a similar choice, and Maya's story will help them know that whatever they choose, they can survive it, they can heal from it, they can build a life on the other side of the worst thing that ever happened to them.